This week on Not Just Another Sex Podcast. I don't like men that aren't gentle with me.
Ooh, hello.
If you are not able to code switch and get into your feminine or get into that gentle space, then I know that at the end of the day, the things that I want you to feel, you won't feel not because of me, but because you're blocked. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to have to work super hard. Ain't nobody trying to suck dick for an hour to work past them wall blockages, nigga. Let's do this yoga.
Right.
And let some of these guard now. Like, I'm not sucking through these guards. Like, I'm not doing it. Let's do the breath work first. Like, hey, sugar. I feel like there are so many different things that I need to learn as an adult. I'm this nasty on a regular day, like on a Tuesday. I am your host, Samaya Burton, and don't worry, it's not just another sex podcast. Hey, you guys, welcome back to Not Just Another Sex Podcast. My name is Samaya, and I'm super excited to have you guys back for another episode. We are about to start the show off with a review because I'm really grateful when you guys leave reviews, you rate the show, you leave the comments under the YouTube videos, you share, you repost. All of that support really helps us to reach more people. This is a free show, so supporting by just telling someone else or leaving a review goes way farther than you even can think. So this review is from Leo Love 22. She says, well, I just assumed. They said, new favorite podcast. I love it here. So glad you joined the podcast community. I've been watching your episodes to get caught up. Keep them coming. That's one of my favorite things, though, when you find a new good show and then you can go back and watch all of them and just sit there. So I love that for you. Well, today we are getting right into it. I have a guest with us today. I'm super excited. This topic is definitely going to be a play on some things that we've been talking about before. But before we get into that, I want to welcome Iman to the show. Say hey, girl.
Hey, y'all.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm doing real good.
Okay, so introduce yourself to the folks. Tell them who you are and what you do, and then we'll get into it.
Okay, so my name is Iman. I am a certified yoga instructor. I've been practicing for about 9 years, teaching for about 6. And as of recently, within the past 3 years, I have specifically been working with couples in regards to sensuality and intimacy, utilizing yoga and other tools.
Okay. So y'all already hear why she here. Okay. So she has like such a nice, soft-spoken voice, but her work is like powerful. Okay. So I'm really excited. I've been following Iman since, what's so crazy is we kept getting
since last year.
Like back and forth, like, oh, y'all need to work together. Oh, y'all need to do this. Y'all. And I'm like, I've never met this woman. Right. So by the time we talked, it was just like, yeah, so-and-so, whatever. So I'm just really glad to kind of just bring this full circle and really dive into more about what you do. I think that the sensuality coaching and real life hands-on moves that you offer couples is great. I think we talk about a lot of things, but really being able to hands-on learn or work with the issues and have something to like steps to change things, I think is really important.
It's so important, yes.
So we're going to get into that. But first, let's start off with the adult tip of the day. And because you're here, we had to custom make this entire episode just for you.
Okay.
So the adult tip of the day is massage her hips while you're eating her out. It relaxes her pelvis and encourages a crazy orgasm. So,
baby, let's get into it.
I mean, if that's not adult, then I don't know what is. If you guys don't know, the adult tip of the day is something that we tell you to help make adulting just a little bit easier, whether that's a My Therapist Says tip or like, hey, here's a little quick trick around the house for cleaning up, and maybe just even a tip for your sex life, because that is some real adult shit. So especially with you being a yoga instructor and just knowing how important it is to relax before you have sex.
Talk about it.
Like I don't think people realize that some of the moves that we do before sex or after sex can be done during. And yeah, massaging somebody like, how like they be buried in your face.
Oh my God.
Their face be buried in between your legs, and then they pull you closer, but their hands
it's just like consume me. Like I like to be consumed.
It's like a watermelon.
Yes.
Exactly. How you eat watermelon? Messy up. Okay, well, when the rind all close to your face and you like holding the sides like this, like that's how I need to be eating, like a little boat.
grab them hips.
But yes. So don't forget to rub something while you eat something, okay? And that's not just a tip for the fellas when you're eating lady parts, but ladies too. Make sure that you're, rubbing his hips or rubbing the back of his legs and like making sure that you're using both of your hands while you sucking dick. Like if you're not using it for the Gawk 3000, use it to rub on his body. Like, people need to feel more relaxed, and you have no idea what that's gonna.
With that, it gets you more present in your body.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I know you guys have probably heard me talk about the live sex art show, the art exhibit with 3 X's that Sexual Essentials puts on every year. Whether you've heard me talk about it on Horrible Decisions podcast, 8 at the Table, or even on my own show interviewing the performers from the years before, well, I just want you to know I've seen the DMs, I've read the emails, and yes, the art exhibit is back. Just like this hair is new, this year is going to be something absolutely different. So from September 15th through the 17th, we are putting on a 3-day intimate experience, okay? August 1st, all of the information around the theme, lights, camera, action, and what that entails and everything that we're going to be doing is going to drop for Patreon members first. The tickets are also going to drop for you all as well. So make sure that you subscribe or either you tap in so that way you can log into that meeting. Now on August 2nd, Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, make sure you join me on Sexual Essentials Instagram, where I'll also be giving the exact same information and dropping the tickets there as well. Why is this so important? There are only 150 tickets available this year. It is a very intimate event, and I do believe that, like before, it's going to be the best one yet. So I hope to see you there. Make sure that you tag a friend and let them know. You know that they always say, "Ooh, tell me when you going back to that. When is that happening again?" Don't be stingy. Share it with a friend, and I'll see you next week. So next we have our Twitter talk.
Okay.
The Twitter talk is, Black Twitter is...
Oh my goodness. Off the chain.
Off the chain. But Black Twitter is almost where every trend, everything that's viral either starts off or ends up or gets discussed, and you see just so many wide ranges of contributions to the conversation. So we call this segment Twitter Talk. And there was a video which we showed you before the episode, and there was a woman talking about how she was just dying from touch starvation. And I didn't even... Watching the video was really... it was difficult because I resonated with some of that.
Yeah, it was emotional. It made me emotional.
Yeah. Are you single? Are you by yourself? Okay.
I am single right now.
Okay, so I'm single as well. So what I really resonated with her was I've felt that way. I've just never expressed it publicly to anybody. And a lot of people are like, well, where's her family? Where's, she don't have no kids or nobody that can touch her. But it's like, sometimes you want someone that has desire for you to touch you.
Ooh.
You know what I mean? Or like just the opposite sex. Like I think people try to make it seem like, well, why you need them to touch you, or why you need a man, or why you need a whatever. Sometimes you want to be touched out of affection, not out of a
sexual.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be sexual, but at the same time, I don't need it to be platonic or family or like, oh, here, sis, I can give you a hug, but are you gonna eat my pussy afterwards? Like, I would like someone to hug me that, you know what I'm saying, that looks at me a little lusty, you know, like just being able to get that type of affection. Have you ever, I don't know, like felt like that, just been frustrated?
Definitely whenever I have like periods of celibacy, which I'm in right now, and it's actually going pretty well this time around. But whenever
okay.
I'm not. So, but whenever like usually you go through those periods of just taking time to yourself, naturally you're going to crave affection. You're going to crave someone being around. I think it's just a natural human thing, and to go without it can affect us mentally. Like I think there are studies done on it, if I'm not mistaken.
People need people.
We need people, and especially in this like idea of culture, like, oh, just me, myself, and I. You know, I'm all I need. You know, I can, and even in the culture of self-love, sometimes we think, I'm good by myself, I just need myself. But no, we need someone there to touch us, to affirm us, to do all of these things, to pour into us, because we can't get through life alone in general. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, two things can be true. You can definitely still have self-love and get that validation from yourself and not be dependent on someone, but at the same time, there are some things you can't give yourself.
Right.
But I do know with yoga, there are moves where just even studying sensuality and moving and touching, that people have learned to just even touch themselves.
Yes.
And not like masturbating, you guys, not just in that sense, but when you need to be coddled or you need to be, I guess, touched, you know, like you can literally rub your own arms and, you know, and just rubbing along your own body and things like that, which kind of brings me to the first point of this conversation that I want to have with you, which is about desensitization. I don't even know if I'm saying it right, y'all. Y'all know what I mean. Desensitization. And a lot of times we hear this topic brought up with vibrators, masturbation, overusing, overstimulating, right? But what I really love about your sensual yoga couples class is that it focuses on when you're desensitized from touch altogether.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So tell me more about the sensual yoga class that you do for the couples.
So I do have 2 classes. I have I Be Divine Couples Yoga and Owning the Sensual Self. And each class has a different area of focus. The couples yoga is more heart-centered and it is sensual as well, but the Owning the Sensual Self is more like based around sexual energy and how to tap into that outside of the bedroom. And that's really the intention with both of the classes, is to allow couples a space to safely explore each other outside of sex. You know what I'm saying? Like, sex is great, and it's great to have skills and know your partner's body, but it's also good to just explore those other realms. And that's really what intimacy is about. And that's the intention of the classes. So we explore, you know, communication, physical touch. And based on like the reviews and the feedback that I've gotten from people, they're like, oh my God, I didn't know I need this. Oh my God, I didn't know I needed to be touched in this way. I didn't know that I felt, you know, deprived in that way. And I don't think that people do it intentionally.
Right.
We just go through life and we're so damn busy. Sometimes we forget to just take that time to really just be present with our partner. And that's really what the class offers, that uninterrupted time with your person to explore them within those other realms of intimacy beyond sex and beyond the bedroom.
So that's such a high class way of telling me what the class is. But like, for the person that also needs the visual, what does that look like? Like, because that's, first of all, that sounds amazing. And I love the fact that it takes my imagination to so many different ways.
Right.
But like, if someone is coming to the class, what are they expecting? What are they being asked to wear? Are they taking turns? How long is the class? Like, what are they?
That's a really good question. So the class is about an hour and a half.
Okay.
I don't require them to wear anything specific, so they don't have to wear like lingerie or anything like that. They just need to dress comfortable and whatever feels good to them.
Okay.
So I allow them that freedom to do that. And then we go through a series of exercises. So, and they do take turns. So I have, I prescribe them like whoever is partner A and whoever is partner B.
Okay.
And throughout the class, they take turns doing the exercises, whether it's touch, whether it's affirming, or, you know, the yoga poses. So that's pretty much.
Affirming.
Yes.
Okay. What would that look like in a class?
So during one of the exercises, I'll have them like sit, one partner is sitting behind and the other one is sitting in front of them.
Okay.
And you'll probably see it in some of the clips. And I have them speaking, you know, life affirming affirmations into their partner's ear. And one of the things that I have heard from couples is like, wow, I've never heard them say that, or I haven't heard that in such a long time. And that's usually, especially I notice with men, like their favorite exercise. They're like, I didn't realize how much I needed that.
So you go through so many different things for them to figure out what is missing. And
exactly.
So with, I love affirmations. For me, that is definitely one of my love languages. I know that as I get older, and especially as a woman who does do a lot of things on her own, of course, like someone doing something for me is amazing, but words of affirmation is definitely a thing. Like when it comes to like the intellect and talking and just work, like how I feel about communicating, period, it just made it even easier for words of affirmation to be my love language. But I do a sex affirmation playlist where I do an exercise, and it's like on Patreon. It's a full list, and so people can either masturbate to it, or they can create their own. And so I always encourage people to, with your partner, like in an actual bedroom setting, to, like if they're giving oral or something like that, they can pre-record a voice memo and play it in their partner's ear. And like now your partner is going down.
Let me write this down.
I'm like, and so like they're listening to it while they're giving their partner oral, and just in their ear they're talking about, you know, how much do you appreciate them, and you know, whatever it is that you need to say, right? So you can record it in a private setting and then let them listen to it while you're like pleasing them and pleasuring them. But what I really love about this is that that's before the sex part.
Exactly.
So we're talking about, your class is talking about the foreplay.
Exactly. It's pretty much fancy foreplay.
I love
That's
a
pretty
little
much
fancy
what
foreplay.
it is. Listen, it's fancy foreplay.
I'm okay with some fancy foreplay. So whenever I bring up foreplay, just in my line of work, I always go back to 85 South. When I did the interview with them with Carlos, I said, you know, accurate foreplay takes 18 to 40 minutes. And the internet went crazy. They was like, well, what's wrong with your coochie? Why it take 18?
Come on now.
Why does it take 18 to 40 minutes? And there's so much confusion, because I'm not saying that it takes 18 to 40 minutes to have an orgasm necessarily. But if you want to have a full version of an orgasm, or you want to get the most out of it, or you want to feel a level of pleasure that you have not felt before and really get the most out of it, it needs to be 18 to 40 minutes. And a lot of men can say like, okay, every nut is not a great nut. Just because you got one off don't mean that shit was slapping. Like, you know what I mean? And so they're probably like, okay, you kind of right. So the longer that you do the foreplay, the stronger that orgasm can be.
Listen.
But I found most people don't want to admit that they don't know what to do for 18 to 40 minutes. You know, because they're not trying to eat pussy for 18 to 40 minutes. They ain't trying to do that. And then she damn sure ain't sucking dick for 18 to 40. The same song's still on when she started and when she stopped, right? So we done brought somebody on to talk about some different things that, you know, that you could be doing. So, hey, you guys, it's your host, Samaya. If you're enjoying the topics over here, honestly, I think you'd love the topics over on my learning platform. I have some private interviews over there with some amazing guests. I've interviewed Mr. Marcus, yes, that's the porn star, Passion Jones, who brought on her husband and her boyfriend, and even had some girls' night conversations with Medina from Cocktails, as well as Mila from Good Moms Bad Choices. That conversation was amazing. We did some examples of our dirty talk, and let's just say you need to check it out. Don't just take my word for it. Make sure that you click the link below and sign up today. There are over 250 workshops, classes, interviews, and so much more. All right, now back to the show. All right. So I really love the fact that your sensual yoga class provides that, because one, they do it and then they can take that home.
Listen, can I share this?
Absolutely.
So
please do.
I just recently, I was given a review by this guy, and he said him and his girlfriend took my class in 2021. And he said it was the most pleasurable sex they ever had afterwards. So they had sex after my class, and he said it was the best that they had ever had. And mind you, in the class, of course, there's nothing like they of course didn't have sex during class, which I remember y'all, because when I first started this class, when the video went viral, people was like, oh, this yoga sex. What y'all doing? Oh, they fucking in class. Like, oh, this an orgy. Like,
just to clarify.
Listen, just to clarify, there's none of that going on. But that shows how deprived people are of intimacy, because they automatically think, oh, if you're doing this, oh, you fucking, or it's straight to that. But what I love about my class is that they have that space to explore those other layers, and the sexual experience itself can be so much more orgasmic, so much more sensational, because there's not so much pressure to perform. Like, it kind of, there's nothing wrong with performing. Let me say, first of all, but it takes away that pressure to be in your head so much. It allows you to be present in your body and to have a whole nother realm that you can bring into the bedroom, and not be like, okay, I got to get this orgasm, got to focus. It takes,
my dick need to be hard.
Exactly. Like,
wet,
I need ass need to be tooted like this, you know? Like, it takes away like all of the pressure we bring into the bedroom. Like you were saying, like, just the way we show up in our bodies, it shows in the bedroom. Absolutely. So that allows them to just kind of take off the armor, essentially, and just make sex more enjoyable, you know?
I think a lot of people don't invest in their sexuality or their sensuality, and I get a lot of questions, and I see a lot of comments, not from the people that support, because the people that see what you do, they're like, oh, okay, I'm in. They're bought in. They know that it works, whatever. Right. But there are a lot of skeptic people, and they're like, well, why do I have to pay this to go and do a yoga class, or why do I have to pay that? And it's like, you guys, you don't know what to do. You Y'all have been having this type of sex all your life. And you wonder why it's not staying fiery and things like that. It's not your expertise. Whatever your job is what you study all day. And you have to get more comfortable with paying other experts in their field because you only gonna do what you know how to do. Exactly. And a lot of people been fucking the same way that they've been fucking since they first started fucking. Like that, the same way they started having sex is the same way that they're still having sex. And it's like, when is the last time you took a class? When is the last time that you learned something different or just listen to somebody else? I love going to classes and things like this because I don't have to do the work. And I work in this field. I don't always want to think or even do it the way that I would do it. Even if I can do it, it's going to be different if I do it someone else's way. And I just think a lot of people need to be more proactive about investing in their sexuality and understanding that after you take the class, if you pay attention, you can do the class at home. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? So it's almost like paying for two things. You get the class there and then it's like, okay, let's do this once a week together or, you know what I mean? And I just don't think that enough couples have the tools. Right. And you're putting a lot of pressure on yourself to just really have an amazing relationship without any help you know, like I don't want to do it without no help. I need the village. Listen. Run me the village. So with the 18 to 40 minutes that we're talking about with foreplay, just going back, this class is a great example of things that you can do for 18 to 40 minutes. Foreplay is not just oral sex, you guys. Right. But for most people, the only foreplay they know is like sucking a titty for about 20 seconds, right? And then the other one gets about 10 seconds, right? They ain't even equal. Them motherfuckers growing at different rates, you know? And then they, you know, do a little lick right here. Exactly. And then they just eating pussy, which we love. But we love it. We love it. We need a little bit more. Kiss on the thighs, you know what I'm saying? Rub the hips. Like, I need somebody to coax the nut out of me, you know? But that's a different topic for another day. So
we get into that.
When desensitization comes up in sex, like I said, a lot of people are referring to putting a vibrator on level 10 or, oh, you've been doing that more than a man. And, oh, you don't even like the touch of your fingers. And I want to talk about a couple things. Okay. A lot of people are desensitized, and it has nothing to do with that damn vibrator.
Hello.
You were desensitized when you went to the OBGYN and you didn't think of them touching you as pleasure. It also didn't bother you. You felt nothing because you know how to make sure that you feel nothing in certain scenarios. Yes. You know how to cut your feelings off, right? Let's talk about even when you at the club and, you know, the men be walking by like, oh, my bad, girl. And they be rubbing their dick all against your ass. You did not have to touch me. I know, because you didn't touch your dick on that man's ass when you walk past him. Yeah, but when you're in the club, you know that that's going to happen. So you've already put that shell on to not let it bother you, right? Or even just as a woman when you're walking by and men are catcalling, or, you know what I mean? Or when someone touches you and you didn't really want them to touch you, or when someone touches your hair. We're all desensitized in so many different ways already. We know how to block out the touch that we don't want, you know? Yes. And I think that we put a lot of pressure, not only on our sex lives, ourselves, and our partner, but just on the whole thing by thinking that because I love you, the wall comes down. Ooh. Because I love you, I just feel that way. Like, or maybe we watching too many movies that look like, oh, they just kissed me and I was just ready. Like, it don't work like that. It doesn't. It doesn't. And I really believe in not skipping the steps of sex. Exactly. Because at the end of the day, no matter how much you want it, that doesn't mean your body is going to keep up or feel the same or be able to maintain it. Exactly. Like, a lot of men will have sex as soon as they did get hard, but then it won't stay hard. That blood wasn't circulating on the train. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't going. No, it went around once. He was like, oh, my dick hard. Let me use it. And then you like, oh, my dick don't stay hard that long. If you had 18 to 40 minutes of foreplay, it would be rock fucking hard because you're not giving a release. You're just having foreplay. And now you're able to sustain the level of sex that you want for longer. Listen. You know?
I could go in on this because the first time I experienced orgasmic energy outside of sex, outside of somebody, you know, fucking me, was in a yoga class. And that's really what awakened me to utilizing yoga to tap more into my sensuality and my sexuality. I'm sitting there chilling, you know, and Vinyasa like relaxing, and I'm starting to feel this orgasmic energy. I'm like,
it's a great class. I gotta come back.
I'm like, what's going on? right here, you know, because I never experienced that. And that's when I realized, oh shit, there's more to this that we have not been taught. Absolutely. There's so much more to sexual energy, to our sexuality, sensuality, the body that we just are not taught in school. Like our sex education is pretty trash. At home. Yeah, even at home too. Absolutely. Yeah, all these levels. We're
just
not,
the banana and the condom.
Listen, don't get pregnant. You know, all this like fear-based guilt, shame, you know, teachings that people are getting for real. So experiencing that and becoming more present in my body, even with, I used to have anxiety really bad, and yoga helped me get more into my body, become more present in my body, because I was desensitized. I was not connected to myself, and that's really what was a part of triggering the anxiety. So getting into yoga and utilizing yoga to tap more back into myself and explore those other layers, explore myself beyond the surface, really allow me to awaken to my sensitivity. And because we demonize sensitivity, people don't want to feel, you know?
That's a word right there. People demonize sensitivity. And so we all try to act like,
put that wall up.
Yeah, especially like a lot of women will be like, "Oh, I'm a real nigga. I'm this da 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 da." Like trying not to be like that, and then men are trying to be so macho when they're more sensitive, if you know, just as sensitive, if not more, than women. And it's like, you guys, what is making you think that being sensitive is bad? Who guilted you when you felt something and now you feel like, oh, whatever, nobody else can be sensitive either? Desensitization is not coming from you guys' vibrator. Like, yes, don't get me wrong. If you put that vibrator on level 10 every single time, you are going to develop a preference. Right. I promise you. But some of y'all don't even put y'all vibrators on 10. Y'all can go down there and touch it the acoustic style with just your fingers, and you don't feel anything. You don't feel anything. I do prefer electric guitars. Okay, Ricky, give me the toys.
I don't mind the toys.
So with the, I don't mind a toy at all, but I also do touch myself with my fingers. And it brings me to arousal. Yep. You know what I mean? Like it brings me to a place of like, okay, I want more. Yes. And so I think a lot of people feel a lot of pressure to be able to orgasm from your fingers. Yes. I don't feel pressure to do that. First of all, I don't have the fucking time to orgasm from my fingers all the time. Like that's a smooth 45 minutes, easy. Like look at my fingers, give them carpets on them. Like they're really chubby. So I don't like doing it for that long. But I don't skip it. You know what I mean? I do like that. That's important. But also even for other places that you don't have feeling, it might not just be in your genitals. It could be your nipples. Yes. Like a lot of women do not have any feeling.
Mine are so sensitive.
I love that for you.
I love it for me too.
You know what's so crazy? I feel like you can tell when women have tapped into their sensuality because they are so much more free about the nipple.
Yes.
Like,
okay. The nipple
yes. Like, because you realize how the bra like squishes your nipples all fucking day. Like right I feel that. I love that. I don't, but they rubbing against this like little blue jean thing. Right. So it's just like, I kind of feel it if I scratch. Right. But, you know, fun clothes. So I don't think that people realize the depth of what desensitization is and understanding that if you didn't feel anything, that started before you turned the vibrator on. And how often are you feeling things otherwise? Exactly. Also, just because you orgasm does not mean that you're not desensitized.
Talk about it.
A lot of y'all are using the vibrator on level 10 because you're pushing past what your body is not ready for. Because you didn't give it 18 to 40 minutes. You just put that motherfucker on turbo. And then you was like, oh, well, I can't. I'm just saying, like, and then 2 minutes later, you have this orgasm and you're like, oh, I did it right. And like your entire sexual experience is not even long enough to be considered foreplay. Exactly. Proper foreplay. That's how fast that you're moving. And people don't understand that you're a part of the problem. It's not just the toy. It's not just the toy. So let's see. What else do we have on here? Oh, people don't know how to sit in foreplay. And I say that because they don't know how to sit in pleasure. They don't know how to.
Just said a word.
They don't know how to sit in pleasure or recognize it or can even sustain it. Yes. And one of the things I really love about yoga is the breath work.
Yes. That's my favorite part too.
It's such an orgasmic experience when you are forced to slow down and breathe through whatever is happening. Yep. And it makes you sensitive in all areas. So pain feels like more pain, but happiness feels like more happiness.
Heightens,
Yeah.
Heightens everything.
That's the basis of Tantra, you know, just really getting back to your present self. And just, I always tell people that way that you feel when you're like at the beach or you're on vacation and you're not thinking about anything, everything is taken care of. And you're just like, I don't have to worry about any of those things. It's pushed out of your mind and you're just enjoying, and you can smell the water and you can feel the air and you know that it's just a little chill, or, oh, I could feel the sun, but you have the details of what you're feeling. A lot of times when you're driving to work, especially in Atlanta traffic, you're not thinking
At all.
You be driving and you be like, wait, did I run that light?
What?
You're
Especially
not
in traffic.
present.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You're just going through the motions. And so the breath work, you know, what I really love about your class is that it's an exciting way to get into something that can be that seem boring.
Oh yeah,
You
exactly.
know?
Yeah, people, and that's the funny thing too. People, they never know what to expect. They like, what is this? Like sex, like I said, they like, is this sex yoga? Y'all having orgies in class? Like, no. And that's what I love whenever they come to class. They're like, oh, this was more than what I was expecting. This is not what I was expecting. So I really love that layer and that aspect and that perspective, because sometimes you don't know what to expect and it's okay. But I love when they are open to the experience as well. And I did want to touch on something that you said in regards to like men being macho. One of the things that I noticed too in the couples, whenever they come to class, the men are usually more guarded. But throughout the experience, I noticed a shift in their demeanor, in their energy, because they start off more, you know, hard body built, but then after class, you can just see the glow in their eyes and their skin and their tone and their demeanor. Everything is just so much more relaxed and
need
open. Yes, they really need it.
That's something I look for even when it comes to dating. Like, I don't like men that aren't gentle with me.
Ooh, hello.
You know, and I think that as a woman, or at least for me, speaking for myself, I felt like I don't want to ask for too much in the past. That's a whole old somebody. Like, I don't even know who she is anymore, because I absolutely be asking for the things now. But I say that because if you are not able to code switch and get into your feminine or get into that gentle space, then I know that at the end of the day, the things that I want you to feel, you won't feel, not because of me, but because you're blocked. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to have to work super hard. Ain't nobody trying to suck dick for an hour to work past them wall blockages, nigga. Let's do this yoga. And and let some of this guard now. Like, I'm not sucking through these guards. Like, I'm not doing it. Let's do the breath work first. Like, I'm not sucking through the guards that you refuse to let down because you're not doing the work to tap in with yourself. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I'm asking you guys, what type of exercises are you doing? And this is something that I charge myself up with. I do not, and a lot of people assume, but I do not like physical touch.
What?
I desire it. It took me a long time to even admit that. I desire to be touched and held on and cuddled, and I got a whole bunch of soft spots. Like, I want somebody to rub and pull on them and grab on them and shit. But it's difficult for me. My trauma puts me into a place where it's difficult for me to receive touch. It makes me uncomfortable. I notice how my heart speeds up. And for me, that came from, you know, molestation at an early age, and just the way that my body responds to being touched intimately, period. You know what I mean? And now I purposely put myself in situations where I have to do it.
You have to awaken that. Yes.
Yeah. I don't think that it's an excuse. I don't think you can be like, oh, well, this is why I don't do it. That's fair for a little bit, but also how are you going to get back to where you are? It's your birthright. How are you going to get back to that? You know? So putting myself in more situations, and like, I went through a Tantra certification class that tore me to shreds.
Oh, I bet. Ooh.
Tore me to shreds. It pulled out so much. But it helped me with trying to develop a routine with touch, incorporating it even myself, and even making me admit and acknowledge, hey, I'm not good with touch, but I really want it. Yeah, I know I might not touch you, but I'm really hoping that you touch me. Like, that's so vulnerable.
It's so vulnerable.
You know, I don't want to tell somebody that, but it's like, if I don't, how am I really going to get it?
Hello.
You know? So I've been dealing with that. So I'm really grateful for these type of tools. You know, and for people taking their careers and adding their spin of sex on it, because anything that can be done from a sex perspective. You can be an accountant and be like, oh, I'm gonna be accountant for a porn company. Right? Like, anything can be sex. And so for me, that's really important that people take the gifts that they have, especially as a certified yoga instructor, and using those tools and teaching and instructing us how to incorporate them in the bedroom and in our lives to just open up our body to more sensation and more pleasure.
Yes. And that's what I'm so passionate about too. Like, because it helped me in my own personal life, like I was saying, with my anxiety and just feeling desensitized. And I've dealt with sexual abuse as well. So, and I think so many people have, which is crazy. And sometimes a lot of us don't even consciously remember, but the body remembers.
Absolutely.
And those triggers, like you said, will come up. And that's why it's important to not only create that space for yourself, but with your partner, because you don't know what that person might have went through when they were young, and you touching them a certain way could assist them. Because I know for me, sex has been healing. I've had some healing, some breakthroughs, you know, during sex, because
sex magic as fuck.
Listen, someone took the time to be gentle with me and to be present with me. So it's so much more than we have been taught.
And I don't think that men realize, or either they do and don't know how to say it, the type of trauma they have went through as well. Like always, like the media making it seem like they're supposed to show up in this overtly sexual energy all the time. And like, oh, if I'm calling you, I expect a hard dick. And you know what I'm saying? That type of pressure to show up and perform is I interviewed Jackson. I think that was like in one of like the earlier episodes, but he was talking about how sometimes sex is difficult to find the pleasure in it because he's trying to make sure he stroke like this and do like that and all this other stuff. And it's just like men have a lot of pressure to perform. And then you talking about the sensuality aspect too. It's like, okay, when are they supposed to find pleasure? And then a lot of men don't want to masturbate. They're too macho to masturbate. And it's like, because they are like, well, either they don't like their own touch or either they just feel like, well, I can get pussy, so I don't have to, or maybe it's a sign that you can't get pussy, which none of those things are true. But I know that I've heard other men say that masturbating has been their time where they can just do whatever they want. They don't have to worry about pleasing anybody else. And I think that there's a level of honesty that men can. For men and women, the fact is we all discover pleasure. And I think that that's not right. And I want to give more background. The reason that I gave the age of 13 was because women, a lot of them, we start menstruating starting at the age of 10. 10, 11, 12, 13 is actually a little older. You know what I mean? So I'm being generous. So you're telling me that it's traumatic to go to a child and talk about pleasure, but at 10, you started giving them the sex talk and the don't get STDs. And if you're going to do it anyway, you know, just come and ask me for condoms. Or some of y'all even put y'all kids on birth control without their own consent, but because you were just like, I don't even want to deal with if you might get pregnant, right? All of that you've done. Like, I know when my parents talked to me about sex, I was like, ew.
Right.
Like, I wasn't even there yet, right? But my body was already deciding for me that it was going into this womanhood phase. And so when I say 13, I'm saying because that means you've probably already had the conversation of sex, don't get pregnant, things like that. But if they were to ask for a vibrator, they're like, well, why do they know what that is? If you just introduce sex, why wouldn't they? Why are we acting like y'all were not sneaking and watching the porn videos and rewinding them back and putting them back in the drawer in your parents' stuff? Why are we acting like y'all didn't know what y'all was doing? You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of girls like, oh, I was doing this at 13, but also the boys weren't because the parents are giving the boys the condoms. They're saying, oh, like, how is it? Who you think they fucking with these condoms?
Right.
Some of them each other, but not all the time. They're fucking your daughters that you're telling don't do this and not acknowledging the fact that your body is yearning for a certain reaction, for a certain release. So why not teach them, hey, and I don't believe that you're ready for sex. This is an act that's for a mature, mature responsibility and things like that. But I understand what you're saying, that you have urges and desires. And this is what exploring your body can look like. Even if it's not with the toy, hey, even if it's not you, it's a class, boom. We teach classes where it's like, hey, this is how you move with your fingers. And even if you don't want to use the term masturbation, you could say, hey, this is a yoni massage that you can give yourself to calm yourself down, or taking showers and things like that. And really talking to the things that they're feeling versus acting out of nowhere like they don't exist. All I'm saying is, can you treat your child like a kid? Like, y'all be grown as fucking niggas y'all ain't got no business fucking. And you expect a child to just do what you say. Right. You don't even do what you say. And you're grown now. You know? So I just wanted to know, you know, what your history was with pleasure and discovering it, especially because you even mentioned like being celibate and you know, just understanding why that is that way.
So first of all, I think it's very powerful for parents to approach it from that perspective, because one of the main things you're doing is giving your child autonomy over their sexuality, over their pleasure, and you're giving them the ability to understand it for themselves. And it's crazy because a lot of people really just don't understand their sexual energy. They don't have a relationship with their sexual energy beyond having sex with somebody else.
Yeah.
So doing that, inviting that conversation in allows room for you to allow your child to learn it about them. It gives them a sense of, confidence and just power, and can't anybody just tell them this is what it is. It's like, no, my mom and my daddy taught me this, and that.
About my body.
Not
just they told me don't do this. They have something to tie it back to that will always be there.
Exactly. Yeah. And so for me, not growing up in a household where it was normal to talk about sex, where it was, I grew up in a religious household, and, there tends to be a lot of shame with sex in regards to religion and stuff like that. So growing up in that type of household, I at one point saw pleasure as a negative thing, especially when it comes to sex before marriage, you know, in that regard. So for me, getting into the yoga, getting into my sensuality allowed me to learn my body more and to discover the parts of me that I might have pushed to the side because I felt like, oh, that's forbidden, that's taboo, because this is what I've been taught or this is what I've been told as a child. So it's been a journey, and I've gotten to a point where I'm able to experience orgasms, just from laying on my yoga mat, laying in the sun. Like,
so I need to get my yoga mat and lay in the sun.
Do it.
Right. About to lay on the young love. Why is she in the driveway? I'm minding my business.
Right. So it's gotten to that point for me, and it's so liberating and it's so empowering to be in that space. And I'm not ashamed of my sexuality or my sensuality. And especially when it comes to women, I notice, like, in my classes, because I work with women as well, there's this idea that, if a woman is tied to her, connected to her sensuality, she a hoe. Or that's only, pertaining to sex workers. That's only for sex workers to be sexual and expressive in that manner. So it kind of bridges that part of us that's very real, and that we all should take the time to get to know for ourselves. So.
Hey, you guys, it's your host, Samaya. And for those of you who didn't know, I'm also the CEO and founder of Sexual Essentials. One of my favorite parts about building that brand was creating a learning platform that has over 250 workshops, interviews, and so much more. Some of my favorite components are the sex position demos. Yes, you heard that right. Demos. They're featuring some people that you may already know. Good Moms Bad Choices has demonstrated some positions for us, as well as Dara. You remember her from our first episode. Those are some of my faves, as well as the lingam and yoni massages. These are great additions to add to your oral loving for your partner. Yes, I said oral loving. I'm trying to keep it clean, guys. Anyways, they are great additions and a great way to spice things up. Outside of our masterclasses, add one of these on to your normal routine and really wow your partner. Click the link below or in any of the links in our bio and sign up for our courses today. All right, now back to the show.
It's been a journey.
I feel like I can always tell by looking at women and how they move and how they walk when they've tapped into their sensuality and their sexuality, and when them nuts is going crazy.
Listen.
Okay, because like the way that they dress, the way that they're comfortable in their body. And I mean, I'm talking about women that are covered from head to toe.
Yep.
Or when you like, you know what? Oh, about to throw on my whole clothes today.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're being cute, we're being funny. But when you talk to these women and you hear their stories, and I was joking with you about, what do you say? You were Pisces?
Yeah.
A little old lady.
It is.
A little old lady. And my Mars, which if you guys go back and listen to Gigi's episode on astrology and love and being a certified lover girl, Mars is your how you approach sex.
Mm-hmm.
And I am a Pisces in that aspect, which is, despite all these sexual or sensual activities that I encourage and teach in the podcast, that is not how I work sensually. Like, this has been a long session of foreplay. You had the Patreon, you had Sexual Essentials. Now you got Not Just Another Sex podcast. Like, this is a long, mentally stimulating session of foreplay. You know what I mean?
About it, yes.
So I haven't been having sex. I have not been in those environments, but I have not been going without pleasure, And so in that sense, it's just like, when it's time, right. Like it's all the energy shall be there, because I've just been sitting on it and playing with it and just letting it rotate and radiate like through me and using that energy for what I want to use it for. And it's so crazy because I feel like now when I dress a certain way, even when I'm covered, I feel like it's pulling an even more sensual energy out of people versus when I'm naked. So like, I used to feel like I had to dress a certain way to get when I want to be sexy. You know what I'm saying? And that's not necessarily true. Like as a woman, yeah, we want to be sexy. Yes, we want y'all to call us fine as fuck in a non-creepy way.
Right.
But you know what I'm saying?
That's not required.
Technically, I don't like to always be half naked. I'm thick. I'm already thick. I really like fucking with people's minds and putting on some fucking pants.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, you thought you was going to see the ass. You're going to see it anyway because it's there. You know?
Right.
Like, that's just how mine works. It's always playing mental foreplay games.
Yeah.
And so I love the fact that I've gotten comfortable in expressing my sensuality and how I dress in the way that I do it. But I can always recognize when another woman has it and she's found her way. She's like you either meet them and they don't wear no clothes at all. You can't beat them into no clothes. And I love that too because they're like, oh no, I just love having my body out. Let's do this. Like I love that for women because we've always been told what we can and can't do with our body and how to do it. And it's just, it's a lot to handle.
It is.
So I do want to get into our advice for the day. As I said, this episode was made custom for you. All the foreplay that we could get gave you 18 to 40 minutes of good foreplay, okay? Our advice today is we have segmented through a lot of the questions that you guys have been asking are pretty much revolving around sex whenever I've been getting advice. And so now we've turned the advice segment where I'm going to teach on a topic in a short way and help you guys to apply it to your life. So with the episode that we're talking about today, we're talking about movement. Yes, you may not always be able to go to a 90-minute yoga class. You may not always have the funds for that, or you may not want to do a 90-minute yoga class before sex every single time. But here is the cheat code, ladies. Hip and yoni activation movements, okay? On my Patreon, as you guys know, I am also the owner of Sexual Essentials, which has 250 plus classes, videos, workshops, and so much more. And in there, we have at least 4 different workshops on hip and yoni activation movements. Pick any of those videos and do them before sex, okay? When you do those movements, it's helping to push that blood flow to your genitals, which is really creating a stronger arousal. And so it's like doing a mini yoga class and you're just doing it just for your genitals, okay? You won't always be able to hit one of Iman's classes, but I'm highly encouraging you to do that so that way you can get an idea of what relaxing your entire body feels like, but also you taking control of your own sex life and asking, when is the last time I invested in my sex life, right? And the Patreon is $15, you guys. It has hands-on demonstrations. It has 250 plus classes, workshops, things you can learn. Like, yes, some of it is about communication and the hard stuff, but some of it is shit like this where you're learning hip and yoni activation movements to do before sex. I'm telling you, as a person who had to record the classes for you, you gonna be gushy after you do the stuff. Like, a lot of you guys always say like, oh my gosh, I was working out and I had this feeling and I had creamed when I came home. What was that? You have orgasms from exercise and from movement. If you allow yourself to do it, like, let those things leave your body. You know what I'm saying? You're releasing a lot of stress and tension and everything else. So please make sure that you check out the hip and yoni activation movements. The link will be below. There are 4 different versions, I believe, on Patreon, and they are really amazing before sex. And if you're really trying to spice it up, pop a yoni egg in there while you do those movements.
I haven't used the yoni egg in so long.
Oh my gosh.
It's been a long time.
Okay, when I come to your class, I got to do the yoni egg. And first of all, I need a partner. All right. You take volunteers? I'm going to pair up with you.
Listen, come on. I got
Rub
you.
me, Iman. She the best rubber in the class. She's a rubber. But that's the advice for the day. Everything that you take on the show, make sure you take it with a grain of salt and you can adjust. You know, I know that her class is 90 minutes. Sometimes you can take some of the things that you're learning from her class and just do 20 minutes or just focus on the parts that really were hitting for you or the parts that are your favorites. Like, you're a grown up, you can do whatever you want. So I really want to encourage you guys to just be more scientific with your sex life, which means trying more things, testing things out, and, you know,
Explore.
Absolutely exploring. And we're going to wrap up with the spiritual tip of the day. The spiritual tip of the day is where we take the energy talks, the spiritual, witchy, tarot, you know, crystals, all of that stuff. And we just take it down to a bite-sized piece and explain one thing in a segment. So that way people can feel like we're addressing the little things versus like avoiding the spiritual conversations altogether simply because we don't know what's being talked about, right?
Because we are talking about you being another certified lover girl, and getting into sensuality and touch, I thought that we should talk about the planet Venus. So this segment actually came from this book, which I know hiding behind all that ass. Astrology for Real Relationships. I really love this book. It's a great beginner book for astrology, and it's by Jessica Lonardu. I follow her on the socials, and I really like her work. But I thought we would talk about Venus today because they call Venus the planet of love. And so Venus drives us to date people who represent the way we want to be perceived. This planet governs aesthetics, class, social status, and our sense of belonging in the world. This planet has the power to help us either show up with our whole selves or skim the most superficial of surfaces. How to work with this planet. Ultimately, Venus governs the part of us that wants to be desirable. And that's a huge part of what dating is. The potential for being seen as charming, hot, and valuable. Align with what you value and commit to being authentic is the best way to really getting that. And I really, when we study compatibility and signs and stuff like that, you're like, oh, am I compatible with people? And a lot of you guys look at your sun signs to see if you're compatible. But it's way more than that. You're looking at your Venus and your Mars specifically when you're talking about the sex and the chemistry between you and other people. And so I just want to let our spiritual tip of the day is just explaining what the planet Venus rules. And Venus, if you're a Taurus, Venus is the ruler of Taurus. So just understanding some of those little details. So when you look at your chart and you see Venus, whatever your sign is, that is the way that you show up in like your love language or things like that. And so I know that for me, I definitely get into aesthetics. I'm a person, if you like, oh, we're going here, I'm going to dress the theme.
Right.
Yeah, I am. I am into the themes, but I realize it's because sexually I'm into being like different people. I like to role play.
You like to role play?
I am.
You like that? I gotta try it.
I like to commit.
Okay.
Like, I don't like I dropped this. Like, I don't, oh my gosh, did you order a pizza? Like, I don't want to do that. That's not the kind I want to do.
Right.
I feel like I have different versions of me. I have like the bossy me. I have like.
You give me Dom. Heavy. Like, yeah, like, I'm just saying, you give me Dom, like, you would be really good at that.
That's a different thing. I'm just saying. I feel like I have different personalities, and I like to express them through my clothes and through sex and through foreplay. Like the way that I like to have foreplay with the partner or whatever. I definitely express that through different personalities and aesthetics for sure.
I like that.
Yeah, I'm a Aries in Venus, so it's childlike. So my Venus in Aries means that like. The way that I am, we know the definition of Venus now, and then we know Aries, which is the first sign of the zodiac, the youngest of the zodiac.
Yep. I'm on the cusp too.
Pisces and Aries energy, yes. I'm a full-blown Aries. I'm right there in the middle, the 14th of April. So it's like, it's very childlike, it's very fiery. So when it comes to like the aesthetic of love and Venus, I'm very childlike and fun and playful, and I get bored easily. Like I have to switch it up. I need space for all 27 of my personalities.
Hello.
That's all I'm saying. So, but is there anything else that you want to leave us with today? Like that you want to talk on or touch on?
I just want to tell the people, like, do something different, Don't be afraid to come to a yoga class where it's more sensual, whether it's by yourself or with your partner. And then there was another thing I did want to say as well, especially when it comes to women, touching on what you said, like sensuality, it's an energy. Like, it's okay if you're not a size 2, 3, 4, or if you ain't got the big hips or ass. Like, none of that matters whenever you're tapping into your sensuality. It's really about the relationship with your body and the energy and the way that it shows up. And just like she was saying, like, it doesn't matter if you fully clothed or half naked. It's really just about how you feel within yourself. So don't be afraid to come to my classes. Check out her Patreon and all that information just to empower yourself, because it's so important and it'll add to your relationships as well.
I'm so excited. See, Iman is also going to be teaching a class at the Something Extraordinary Content House, and I'm super excited. We've been going back and forth trying to figure out the best
situation to make it. Like, we don't want to have the full sensual yoga class. I want you guys to still check out hers. But being able to add a level of sensuality and like relatableness to a beginner's course here at the Content House. So make sure that you check us out on Instagram at SE Content House. So that way you can see when she's coming, as well as she will be hosting some classes here of her own as well. Yes. I'm super excited just to see where this goes, because like I know you do the private sessions as well.
Yes, I do. Mm-hmm.
Yes, tell us more about that. Like, what's the difference between the private and the?
So the private sessions is pretty much the same class, but it's just in a more like personalized setting and intimate setting. So there are a lot of couples who may not be comfortable with being in a public class around other couples, doing those exercises, even though they're PG-13, or at least for the couples yoga, but the other one is a little more. But so it just offers that space for couples who want just to be with their partner and they want that level of focus. And I also do virtual classes as well. Okay. And then I also, for the private sessions, like I have a little setup where I offer wine and fruit and have rose petals on the floor. I set the mood.
The vibes.
Yeah, I add a little bit more of the, get the environment going just to get them more into the mood. And I had a couple from Florida that actually traveled up here to do a private session with me, which was
so nice,
amazing. And she was just saying how it helped her connect with her husband in a deeper way. Yeah. So it just offers that more one-on-one personalized, type of setting for the private sessions.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, tell us where we can find you, how we can sign up for the classes, if you have an upcoming class. I'm not sure when this will be aired, but tell us how we can find your upcoming classes. And then whenever this comes out, whatever class is upcoming next, we'll make sure that we drop it below for you. But give them your information so they know how to find you or whatever they need to know about contacting you, asking questions, or whatever. Anything. It's your time to shine.
Okay, cool. So you can find me at IB Divine Yoga. That's IBDIVINEYOGA. And that is all of my social media handles: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. And my website is ibdivineyoga.com. And under my events section on my website is where you'll find my upcoming schedule. And I do go on tours, so I may come to your city at some point during 2023. But under my schedule section on my website is where you can find that, and anywhere on my social media sites as well.
See, I think that we need to talk about having some type of divine yoga, sensual yoga session at the art exhibit. Yes, I think that would be really good.
Let me know.
Foreplay for the crowd to like just watch.
That would be so beautiful.
I think so. So I think that that's something that we definitely need to talk about. I've been meeting so many different people, and I'm so excited because you guys' gifts are like different levels of sensuality and sexuality. And so it's like I definitely want to add more layers of foreplay to the art exhibit this year. So it's like I definitely am excited to see where these conversations go. Yes. So thank you so much for doing the work that you're doing, for coming on the show, and just for really stepping out and doing something different. I know how scary it can be, and the criticism that we come up against when we take regular things and we quote unquote sexualize them. But I feel like the world sexualizes us anyway. So we might as well take it back. So I appreciate you, and I love the fact that you're doing the work that you're doing. Please don't stop. Please make sure that you guys tap in with her, and thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. You guys, thank you for tuning in. Make sure that you check out the links below for the Patreon. You follow our guest, and don't forget, we are shooting at the Something Extraordinary Content House. This is actually the Tulum set. This is an amazing set because so many Black and brown people and creatives, of course, are shooting these retreats, and they're doing all different type of things, travel and stuff like that. And I really wanted to create a space so you guys can create that type of relaxing content without having to go all the way to Mexico or go all the way to Tulum. And so right here in Atlanta, 15 minutes from the airport, you are able to check out a Tulum themed set, which is actually this set that we're sitting on, the kitchen, and it also has a meditation and Zen room here. So if you want to book our sets for your podcast or production or creative needs, make sure that you check us out on Instagram at SE Content House, and we will check you out. We will help you produce your content, and we will see you guys next time. All right. Bye.